Hi, this is Michael Bryan. I'm Senior Content Manager of Multi-Channel Merchant and a programmer for E-commerce Operations Summit. Today, we're going to be discussing what's going on in the world of e-commerce delivery, and more specifically, technology and different solutions that are in the marketplace, the different dynamics and the competitive aspects of it, and kind of what's happening now and what to expect. And in the past year or so, Google Express has been making some waves in terms of striking partnerships with retail companies to provide same-day delivery services for them, Target most notably last fall. And we're going to talk today to Ivan Tchakarov, who's the Director of Operations for Google Express. Hey, Ivan, how are you?
Hey, Mike, I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Okay, so the first thing we'll talk about is, there's obviously a lot of attention. There's a lot of noise going on around same-day delivery, 1 hour or 2 hour delivery. But what I want to hear from you is about the actual demand that's out there, and maybe a little bit about where the sort of sweet spot is for this kind of service. The demographics. Maybe types of product, that kind of thing, and what you're seeing from Google Express's end.
Yeah, great question, Mike. The answer is a bit nuanced here, right? I mean, on one hand, we have the different types of same-day delivery services. We have what I would call regular same-day, which is you order by noon or by 1 and you get it by 9 o'clock that same day. Then you have the rush type of services, which is more around you order now and you get it within the next 1 hour or 2 hours. And then you have kind of the window delivery, which doesn't have to be necessarily rush, but maybe you order it at some point and you have a couple of hours of a window to get your delivery. So on one side, we have the types of same day. Then on the other side, we have the categories. It's not going to be the same for all categories of product. I would actually say that for general merchandising, things like apparel, electronics, most of the demand will continue to be in the 2-day overnight type of space. Yes, there's going to be this premium rush type of delivery when you absolutely need it. But in terms of demand, I think, and kind of where the battle will be, is who can get consistent 2-day and maybe next day delivery there. I think it's a different dynamics when you start thinking about your local type of shopping, and this is primarily grocery and everyday essentials. This is where I think same-day services will continue to grow in importance, especially the type where you have a kind of an attended delivery like grocery because you need to put it back in your fridge. Those type of services, we think that will grow and will continue to grow quite a bit. We have done some studies in the market, understanding kind of price points, adoption. Depending on the competitive landscape, what other companies, specifically Amazon, will continue to offer in this space, we'd see the adoption of this to be anywhere from, on the low end, 5% to all the way to 20% of all e-commerce. And the 20%, if we go in that direction, is going to be very heavily dependent on how much adoption in online grocery delivery there is, because a lot of the grocery delivery will be in that type of same-day service.
Okay, yeah, and it makes total sense what you're saying, and it is obviously a very nuanced thing, and it's very kind of dependent upon the types of product and kind of the cadence of when people need those things. And what are some of the maybe limitations to this type of service? This type of faster service, and is it something that people are kind of clamoring for? Like, who's kind of driving this? Is it on the supplier side, or is it something that people really need, and that kind of thing?
I think the limitation is really twofold, right? I mean, one is cost. It's actually very expensive to make that work. So it needs to be either a premium offering or an offering at scale where you can drive cost. And of course, there could be kind of an automation component that can unlock this even further. So on one side is cost, and then on the other side is inventory availability. I mean, for you to have same-day delivery services, you need to forward deploy a lot of inventory. That's where I think actually omnichannel retailers have an advantage, because they have been building supply chains, efficient supply chain of forward deploying inventory in their stores for quite some time. And you can use stores as fulfillment locations. Of course, you can build forward deployed warehouses, and that's kind of the route that Amazon has been taking. But this proliferation of inventory and building a lot of those warehouses is where some of the challenges will be from a expense perspective. That's where, again, the omnichannel retailers have a good advantage. They already have forward deployed inventory, and they can utilize that forward deployed inventory for same-day delivery services.
Yes, and on that point, I understand that there's a lot of interest and a lot of investment being made in facilities that are closer to, the large urban centers, the large markets, for that very reason. Another thing I wanted to talk about, obviously, with Google Home and with Alexa, it's a big booming area with voice assistants and the capabilities there. And from what I understand, a lot of what's been happening with it is being used as basically an information source, and maybe some smart home aspects to it, but not as much yet anyway in terms of really taking off and on the commerce side of things. And maybe not. Maybe you can tell me different. I'm just wondering what you're seeing in terms of the connection between, for you, Google Home, but just kind of voice assistant in general, and commerce and commerce fulfillment.
Yeah, another great area. I think it's broader than voice assistant only, though, right? I mean, our CEO has talked extensively about intelligent assistants and how important those will be for the future. And it's not only about one device or only voice. The intelligent assistants will be present across multiple devices. They'll be present on your phone. They'll be present in smart speakers like Google Home. They'll be present in your car, maybe in TV. So the push to intelligent assistants being everywhere is happening, and it's coming. I mean, 5 years ago, it was all about moving from desktop to mobile. Now it's all about moving from mobile to these intelligent assistants, which could be everywhere. We think that up to 30% of all queries will be at some point voice activated or using intelligent assistants. Now, how many of those will translate into shopping queries is still kind of TBD. I think it will again depend on category. You can imagine that it's going to be a bit harder to shop for apparel, maybe only through voice, versus voice is very, very relevant to actually build a shopping grocery list and actually execute on a shopping query that says, hey, these are all my daily essentials, and my preferred retailer is, let's say, Costco or Walmart or Target, and you can build a basket, and that basket can magically show same day on your doorstep. So it will be category driven. We will see a lot of adoption. We'll see a large percentage of queries in general moving to voice and intelligent assistants. And I think there is specific categories in shopping where it will make a lot of sense to use voice as the platform to actually order. So definitely coming.
Okay. Another thing is, you mentioned Amazon earlier, and obviously they're a huge player in all these things. And there's been comparisons by analysts between Prime Now and Google Express, but in reality, this is such a huge opportunity, such a huge market. There's a lot of room there. So maybe you can take a minute to talk about how you view the competitive landscape in these types of offerings.
Yeah. We started, like Google Express started really as a local delivery service from local stores, which is not that dissimilar than Prime Now. Google Express now is much broader in scope. Our goal and our value proposition is we want to be able to kind of link you to all of your merchants that you like and allow you to transact with those merchants. And those merchants may be local merchants, but those merchants may be merchants that don't have any local presence. For example, we have Wayfair.com on our platform, and they don't have any local presence. So Google Express is no longer only a local delivery. Our big value prop and ultimate goal is to leverage the strengths of Google, which is all of our surfaces where users are using us, voice, and really organize the world's shopping information and merchants, and allowing the end users to actually shop across multiple merchants and get things delivered with the use of experience that they expect. So I wouldn't compare anymore Google Express necessarily with Prime Now. We're becoming an ecosystem in our own right, where multiple merchants will be able to be linked under, so that the end user has the choices and the convenience to shop across all the merchants that they like.
There's been a lot of talk about activity in the area of autonomous vehicles, and it's something that Google's been heavily involved in. What are your thoughts about where that's going? How soon do you think that we'll see that kind of thing being used for delivery of commerce orders?
Yeah, that's a super exciting topic, Mike. Waymo, which is kind of formerly known as the Google self-driving project, has done a tremendous job in actually solving a very complex problem. And now they have autonomous vehicles performing ride services, fully autonomous in Phoenix for ordinary people, which is, I think, a tremendous achievement. I think moving people is actually a little bit easier than moving parcels in an autonomous vehicle, just because when you move parcels, you still need to solve the first yard problem, which is someone needs to put the parcel in the car or in the vehicle, and then the last yard problem, someone needs to actually take it and from the car and deliver it to the doorsteps of the customers. But these are solvable things. I think what potentially this will unlock is a portion of the market that today is not online just because of it's cost prohibitive from a delivery perspective. If you think about grocery, for example, there's not a lot of margin in grocery. And if you need to actually tag delivery fees or the cost of delivery, which is the last mile transportation is still about 60% of all cost, it becomes very cost prohibitive to have this type of a service. With an autonomous vehicle, especially if you think about the fact that grocery needs to be an attended delivery, you can imagine a world where the customer is actually home and just goes and picks up the items from an autonomous car. And if that could tremendously reduce the cost of that last mile, we're going to see a whole new category that is typically dark, meaning not online, be able to actually get online and drive adoption because the costs will be much more optimized. So I think the technology is there. It's something that is definitely coming. I cannot comment exactly on when, at least from a Google perspective, this may be a reality, but we're very excited about the potential here because it will truly unlock additional options for categories for our consumers and broadly for consumers in the US and abroad.
I just want to mention that Ivan is going to be one of our keynote speakers at E-commerce Operations Summit, which is going to be held on April 3rd through the 5th in Columbus. He's going to be talking about a lot of these same types of subjects in terms of omnichannel, a lot of the technologies happening, Internet of Things, and where his vision and Google's vision is of where these things are going. So hopefully you can come out and join us and hear Ivan, a lot of other great presenters on topics in omnichannel and delivery, fulfillment, warehouse, customer experience, etc. So Ivan, again, thanks very much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And yeah, looking forward to the conference.
Thank you.